Last night, documents related to Jeffrey Epstein were released. Many of you saw the news. Many names were unredacted. And this included people like Bill Clinton. Of course, Donald Trump was also named in the documents, but it would appear that there are some serious allegations against people like Alan Dershowitz. While Bill Clinton is named, it's only lightly incriminating. And as it pertains to Donald Trump, it appears it's actually exculpatory. The witness testimony makes it seem as though Donald Trump had literally nothing to do with anything, and he's only named tangentially because, well, Epstein claimed he was friends with the guy. Trump owns a lot of properties, but in fact, we learned that not only was Trump not present, did not engage in any untoward activity with these young girls, according to the witness, Donald Trump wouldn't even allow one of these young women into his casino because she was underage. I shouldn't say Donald Trump wouldn't, because I don't think he was even there. The casino itself was like, nah, you're underage, you can't come in. But this shows these Epstein people, they were trying to bring an underage, a young girl into a casino. It's very strange. Now, as it pertains to Bill Clinton, what we learned is that not only was he friends with Epstein, but Epstein tells these women that, Clinton likes him young. Now, what does that really mean? I'm not going to play silly, stupid games and say that these statements that have come out about Bill Clinton have proven that he was engaged in trafficking. But I got to say this. If evidence emerges that Donald Trump was involved, then so be it. Investigate, file charges, lock him up. Don't care. Now, I don't trust the machine. And we're at this point where, unfortunately, while we try to be reasonable and fair, if something were to come out, I'm less inclined to believe it's about Trump, that it's true if it's about Trump. That's just the sad reality. And this is social order breakdown. For a while, my friends, I was willing to entertain these accusations. I was willing to give the benefit of the doubt. When Donald Trump got elected, they said that he may have colluded with Russia. And I was like, okay, well, let's see the evidence. Wow. All right. And then I learned they were lying about everything. And therein lies the problem that we face. With Brett Kavanaugh, they claimed that he was engaged in, we'll keep this one family friendly and light. They claimed that Brett Kavanaugh was party to large group events where men would line up outside of rooms to force themselves on women who were trapped inside. It's one of the most shocking and insane stories ever presented. There's no evidence, and it certainly did not happen. Even the initial accusations against him appear to be lies. And so if someone were to come to me right now and say, hey, look, we got a witness who claimed this or that about Trump, I'd just be like, I don't believe you anymore. I don't believe you. Have a nice day. But I got to say, this is what I said yesterday on IRL, though the show was taken down. It is available on all podcast platforms. If a scraggly looking deranged man with black eyes, a bloody nose, crazy hair, missing teeth, wearing ripped up clothes, and he walked up to me and he said that Bill Clinton was engaged in trafficking of young girls, I'd be like, really? Tell me more. My point is, there is a challenge in trying to be reasonable and understanding facts, evidence, but there is a degree of reasonableness in what we are willing to accept initially in terms of probable cause. That is to say, the Krasensteins, Brian, he's got this tweet, he's a liberal guy, and he said, Bill Clinton likes him young. That's not incriminating. Does it prove anything? Actually, it does. It is incriminating. Yeah. Sorry, Brian. Brian's trying to play this game where it's like Trump was in the documents too. And we all know that Trump likes young girls too. And sure. And he's like, because they're creepy old men. Absolutely. The problem? The media lies left and right every single day about Donald Trump. And the media seeks to protect Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. And Bill Clinton's got this scandal we all know about in the White House. And so I will tell you this. I want to be reasonable, but reasonable means making judgments based on what we know about an individual's character. That is to say, if a document were to come out that looked bad for Trump, Trump would get more benefit of the doubt because the media has lied about everything. Not that Donald Trump is more deserving of our trust. I think he is. But on the surface, it's that the media has lied so much about Donald Trump that a reasonable person would conclude that stories that come out smearing Trump have a high probability of being false or exaggerated. And if it's about Bill Clinton, there's a high degree it's probably underplayed. So what I'm trying to say here is, when the Epstein documents get released and John Doe 36 is revealed to be Bill Clinton, a guy who likes him young, what does that mean? Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking minors. Okay. Yeah, we know he was doing it. He was doing it. Ghislaine Maxwell went to jail. Epstein got arrested and then died. Jean-Luc Brunel, a guy who was accused as well of facilitating, being involved with, and even raping underage girls, died in jail. They say, oh, he killed himself so he wouldn't have to go to trial. Yeah. Or maybe he was killed so he couldn't incriminate anyone else. If you come to me and you say Bill Clinton likes him young, I'm going to be like, we investigate this guy. Don't know, don't care, no benefit of the doubt. Jeffrey Epstein, what does that mean when you say you like him young? A guy who was trafficking minors, who Clinton flew on his plane. They were friends. And of course, there are reports that Donald Trump flew on his plane as well. However, in these documents, the witness says Trump wasn't there, never saw Trump, Trump wasn't involved, Trump never slept. In fact, the witness says Trump never slept with any of these girls. And they're like, how do you know? And he's like, wow, he never saw him there. He was never there. To be fair, when it comes to a lot of people who are named in these documents, some have nothing to do. And this is exactly what I said was going to happen, okay? And it's not because I'm psychic or I'm smart. It's because I read the news. And the news broke down. The Epstein documents that were getting released are related to a defamation case, and it includes evidence from other criminal cases. It would include names of individuals who are completely unrelated, some whose names had been redacted. But this means that there's a witness who is asked about, Bob Smith, random name. And they're like, I don't know who that is. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, look, Bob Smith appeared in the documents. Yeah, the witness was asked if they had ever seen him before, and the witness said no. Just because their name appeared in the document doesn't mean they did anything wrong. That being said, I will say this again. When Bill Clinton is friends with Epstein, flies on the plane, there's a portrait of Bill Clinton in a dress at Epstein Island, and Epstein says he likes him young. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make some assumptions about what is possible here. When they say Donald Trump flew on his plane in the 90s several times, and mostly with his family, I say, yeah, a guy with private jet flew people around and no one knew what he was doing in the 90s. In the 2000s, that's when people started to figure out what Epstein was doing. I wonder if Bill Clinton knew. I do not trust Bill Clinton or the Clintons. I think they're bad people. Donald Trump, I certainly don't think is a saint. But Donald Trump also was very, very critical of Epstein. And in some reports was one of the only people to actually try and get Epstein to be let's just say to assist law enforcement is my understanding. There's also stories about how Jeffrey Epstein and Trump had a falling out, particularly because Epstein was oogling young girls. And Trump's like, get out of here, man. Yo, I don't blame Trump. Some creepy dude comes in and starts, oogling young girls. I'd be like, bro, you get like, dude, I got not only do I have zero respect for somebody who's going to play dirty, do dirty things like that, but I have hatred, disdain, disgust. I'd be like, get the F out of here. So I get it. Well, Bill Clinton responds. That's the big news. But I must stress, it's not eventful. A spokesman for Bill Clinton simply just said, quote, nothing has changed. Clinton is mentioned in the documents alongside other high-profile names, including Alan Dershowitz and former President Donald Trump. When asked for comment on the documents, Angel Urena, a spokesman for Clinton, told Newsweek, quote, nothing has changed since he released a statement about Epstein in 2019. Previously saying Clinton knows nothing about the crimes Epstein pleaded guilty to in Florida or the sex trafficking crimes he was charged with in 2019. In 2008, Epstein pleaded guilty to the two state charges of soliciting prostitution and soliciting prostitution from someone under the age of 18. He was sentenced to 18 months in jail, but was not charged federally and served most of his term in a work release program. Clinton took 4 trips on Epstein's plane in 2002, 2003, according to Urena, in connection with the Clinton Foundation. Yeah, the Clinton Foundation. You see, they try to play this game where they think, oh, the Clinton Foundation is a nonprofit charity work. Y'all might as well be the mob, okay? The Clinton Foundation, I would just say, is a dirty organization. So when you say he was simply flying on it in relation to the Clinton Foundation, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now I'm going to make assumptions that the likelihood of bribery was really, really high, and blackmail and extortion was also really high. So Clinton flies on the Lolita Express, according to the documents that were released. Some of these young girls who were being trafficked on the plane. That's right. They'd bring people on the plane. The plane would fly, the girl would come out, and they would engage in rape of minors on the plane. That was the point of the plane. And so you've got people who can say, I just flew on the plane. I have no idea. I was just getting a ride. And now it is tough. It is tough because you could easily be set up. And there's nothing you can do about it. Alan Dershowitz has been accused. And Giuffre, apparently, who had accused him, recanted in 2022. I don't believe it. I mean, but I don't tell you. I just personally, as my opinion, I don't believe it. Dershowitz said he would be exonerated by these documents. Instead, we got very harsh testimony from Giuffre where she talks about how Dershowitz, I'm sorry, it wasn't Giuffre. I believe it was Schoberg. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Joberg? I don't know. No, I'm sorry. It was Giuffre. And Dershowitz was accused of, raping children. Apparently, Giuffre said, no. But hold on. Dershowitz, I believe, according to these reports, it was Epstein's lawyer. How would he not be aware of what was going on? How is it that someone could be so sure, like these guys did it, and then all of a sudden, years later, be like, no, I was wrong about this one guy? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe she was wrong. And to Dershowitz's credit, I will tell you this. Not that I trust the guy. If you were someone like Epstein, the smartest thing you would do is lie about the identities of the men you were bringing on board to these young girls. That's right. Let's say you want to extort Bill Clinton. You bring him on a plane. Well, I'm sorry. You're not going to be able to tell someone it ain't Bill Clinton. He's too famous. So they're going to know who Bill Clinton is. But let's say you got some lawyer, is like, moderately well known, but no one's going to recognize the guy. The smartest thing you could do is lie about his name. So let's say it's not Dershowitz. Let's say it's John Doe. This guy boards the plane, and Epstein tells the girl, I want you to meet, Jim Smith. And they're like, oh, nice to meet you. And then after he traffics them to this guy, they later on go say, it was Jim Smith. They then see a photo of Jim Smith and, of the name Jim Smith. Like, wait a minute, that's not the guy. It makes a lot of sense that Epstein would use fake names for some of the people who are not high profile, not being extorted, because he wouldn't want the victims to be able to identify them. And the fact that they would give wrong names later on could discredit them. If you're Epstein and you're trafficking minors, you don't want them to go out and say, here's a list of names of the people who did it, and then be able to prove that you were engaging in this activity. In fact, it would be very advantageous for Epstein, who probably did this, when he brought in clientele to use fake names, but act like the names were real. Then when these young women, these victims, go to law enforcement and they give a list of names, turns out the names were fake. And then the police are like, these guys never flew on the plane. In fact, this guy never even met Epstein. And then they'll go, wait, that wasn't the guy. Fake name. It makes a lot of sense. So it's possible that what happened with Giuffre is that there was a guy who was basically a client of Epstein. And they just said, yeah, that's Alan Dershowitz. And it wasn't. And Giuffre then says, yeah, it was Alan Dershowitz. Dershowitz then says, that wasn't me. And she goes, you're not the guy. And then is forced to apologize, saying that wasn't the guy. That was the wrong name. Possibility. I'm not saying it's absolute. I'm saying understand. There's a lot of nuance. The scary thing to me when it comes to these names, right? So first, let's go through some of these names, and I'll tell you what worries me. Prince Andrew was accused numerous times of raping a minor. Yep. That right. There's a picture of them together. And she said was trafficked to him. Apparently Schoberg said the same thing. Yeah. Schoberg said she and Giuffre had flown with Epstein to New York with Maxwell and Andrew were said to have met them there. At one point, Maxwell called her upstairs to an upstairs closet where they pulled out a puppet of Andrew that had been made for a television program. It looked like him. And she brought it downstairs and presented it to him, and it was a great joke, blah, blah, blah. They got a picture with it. Virginia and Andrew sat on the couch. They had the puppet in Virginia's lap, and I sat on Andrew's lap, and they put the puppet in the hand of Virginia's breast, and Andrew put his hand on my breast, took a photo. These are very serious allegations. 2014 court filing alleges she was forced to have sex with the prince when she was a minor in three separate locations, and that is I believe they're referring to Virginia Giuffre when they say they or she. Epstein claim Jane Doe. I'm sorry. Known only as Jane Doe number 3, not Giuffre. Jane Doe number 3. We want to make sure we get the facts right here. Bill Clinton. There is a portion of this where they say, I don't know if he was there. I don't know if he was on the island, things like that. But I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So you get it. Donald Trump, of course, it seems to have been exonerated, in fact, by the documents because they're saying he wasn't there. He didn't bang any of the girls or anything like that. I shouldn't say bang, rape. Stephen Hawking's name, David Copperfield's name, Michael Jackson's name, Naomi Campbell's name, Leonardo DiCaprio. But here's the thing. Some of these names in this it's not incriminating. It's like, did you know this guy? No, I didn't. Did you ever see him? No, I didn't. Bang, his name's in the list. I want to make sure that's clear. Here's what worries me. We have to be very, very careful. In 2022, Virginia Giuffre withdrew an accusation that she made against Jeffrey Epstein's former attorney, Alan Dershowitz, saying she may have made a mistake in identifying him as an abuser. According to one of the documents, Epstein allegedly forced a woman named as Jane Doe number 3, who was a minor at the time, to have relations with Dershowitz. It is also, so again, to clarify, right, Giuffre made the accusations. This is what I was trying to say earlier. It gets confusing. I don't know. When I was saying before that Dershowitz is accused of raping a minor, that's Jane Doe number 3. Jane Doe number 3. Giuffre withdrew accusations she made against Epstein. But I don't know that Jane Doe number 3 is Giuffre. So just because Giuffre withdrew her accusations doesn't mean Dershowitz is off the hook. However, that being said, what worries me is Dershowitz was a lawyer for Epstein. People are allowed to have lawyers. I'm sorry. And, I believe in how the system was set up by the founding fathers. I believe they did a great job. It's not perfect. But even the worst people in the world must have lawyers. They must. That includes Epstein. They must have lawyers. We must abide by the rules. There must be a legal system, lest we be the evil we are seeking to triumph against. It is better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. In that, however, there are dark questions. Questions that we've asked on Timcast IRL before. It is better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. Do you believe that? Do you really do? I do. But there's a challenging question that has to be brought up. What if the innocent person who's suffering, the suffering is 30 days in jail over shoplifting, and the guilty person who escapes is a child rapist? Then we begin to ask ourselves deeper questions about the nuance of such a philosophy. And it is seriously challenging. The idea that it is better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer is a very important thing. Blackstone's formulation. Ben Franklin said 100. Because, and it's actually quite simple, a society that tells its population the government will imprison you even if you're innocent gives no incentive to the population to be good people because they fear imprisonment even when they do good and do well. A country that says it is better that the innocent are punished than the guilty escape is telling them you might as well be guilty because you'll get punished either way. But a society that says we will do everything to protect the innocent gives the incentive of every person to be good because the system will protect you if you are innocent. But there are deep challenges there. In that, I don't know that Dershowitz is actually guilty of anything. They're accusations. I don't know that Jane Doe number 3 is Giuffre. He says, the woman who initially accused me subsequently stated she may have misidentified me and withdrew her lawsuit against me. Perhaps then Jane Doe number 3 is Giuffre. I'm not sure. But there is innocence, presumed innocence. And that being said, let me ask you, my friends, 10 child rapists go free, or one man go to prison for a month for shoplifting. He's innocent. You see, it's a bit different, isn't it? At this point, a lot of people will begin to question whether or not they truly agree with the founding fathers' view of this. Do you really want 10 child rapists to go free? Or should one person who was falsely accused of shoplifting go to jail for a month? I think most people would say, dude, go to jail for a month. The rapists are going to be in prison for life, and they could target children later on. Now you see where we're at. The philosophy of Blackstone's formulation is not so simple, is it? And I don't have a good answer for this because my view is kind of like this. If someone came to me and said, Tim, you've done nothing wrong. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you to jail for 30 days. And I'd say, what? Why for? And they would say, we have to. Because by doing so, 10 child rapists will be locked up for the rest of their lives. I would gladly spend 30 days in jail. 30 days ain't nothing. If it meant that 10 child rapists would never see the light of day again, and the potential victims, future victims, would be free from that harm. And therein lies the deeper, challenging questions. What if they say, you, innocent person, will go to prison for the rest of your life? The rest of your life is over. But these 10 child rapists, they will also go to prison for the rest of their lives. It's tough, isn't it? It's not so simple. Would you sacrifice your life in that? Now, in this regard, I have a less easy answer. I'd say no to that. I wouldn't. I'll tell you why. When you get to the point where you say the innocent will be punished because we want to punish the guilty, as the founding fathers believed, you create a society that disincentivizes the good. And the fear then is, while those 10 people are pure evil and they may victimize another, there's a much simpler answer. The rights and responsibilities of the American population, which includes the right to keep and bear arms and the responsibility to bear arms and protect their family. In this regard, you can argue that it would be noble for someone to sacrifice their life to be to be that martyr, because it would put away 10 evil individuals. The risk, however, in all of it, honestly, even the 30 days, is that a system is built that is willing to punish the innocent. And it tells the population, whether you're good or bad, we will lock you up. And then you just end up with bad people. It is not an easy world, my friends. It's easy to stand on these simple statements, such as Blackstone's formulation. I believe that the guilty should be freed if it means the innocent will be, exonerated. It's not so easy. Never has been. It's not black and white. It's a gradient, and there are moral lines. For this, what I have to say, Alan Dershowitz should be criminally investigated. That's it. I don't know that he's guilty of any wrongdoing. The presumption of innocence stands until he is proven otherwise, beyond a reasonable doubt. It is a very difficult world. There are dark people and dark forces in it. And I will say this. The left will try to prey upon your reasonable character, your belief in the Constitution and unalienable rights. But we all have moral lines. If you come to me and you say, like the Krasensteins did, Trump and Clinton are both lewd old men and they both like girls. It doesn't prove anything. Your faux principles mean nothing to me, because we must take into consideration the nuance of such a statement. Donald Trump's certainly a lewd and lascivious guy, but no, he doesn't like him young the way Epstein describes him as young. Donald Trump has got a lot of character defects, and he loves himself, the ladies, but he surrounds himself with models and, sure, women who are younger than him. They falsely accuse Trump these false accusations are insane. And so I'm at the point where I don't believe you. Screw off. Bill Clinton? Yeah. I ain't giving him the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't earned it. And so when they say this, I say there is a preponderance of evidence. Okay, with Epstein, being friends with Clinton, things Clinton has done. Yeah, sorry. No benefit of the doubt. Because we do not apply the standards to everyone the exact same way, because we understand some people are different. If a guy has been convicted of murder before, sorry, but that's going to be weighed against you, because we're not morons. We're reasonable people who said, look, you've murdered before. You're now being accused of it again. Sorry. That's your fault. You're a murderer. And it may be. Second time around, this murderer is like, no, I really am innocent, man. And the only reason he's a suspect is because he's got a track record for being a murderer. Yep. But that's the reality. We have to take into consideration past events and nuance. So I'll leave it at that. These documents are very, very interesting. There's a lot of evidence in them. More people will dig through them. A lot of this is pretty old. But I'm going to give a shout out to Mike Cernovich, who helped make all of this public, was the principal catalyst for it, and also the hard work of the journalists, the Miami Herald, who pursued it as well. I believe Cernovich gets the lion's share of credit for pursuing the Epstein case and getting these documents exposed, because it was tremendous work. So shout out Mike Cernovich. Does good work. You can, whatever, man. I'll leave it there. Become a member at timcast.com. We got big announcements coming up. We're doing a town hall with Vivek next week, as well as Iowa caucuses with Vivek and many others. Live event. You're welcome to join. So become a member at timcast.com, because ticket sales will be going up today only for members at timcast.com. The next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.